Hey friends, hey mind wanderers. I'm going to pop up IG Live. It's a pleasure to be here on a very hot and steamy Santa Barbara Sunday evening. I'm complaining, but I have nothing to complain about. My name is Sam Led. I'm a trauma coach and life strategist based out of beautiful Santa Barbara, California. I'm here, I'm the only one here in my Hey LA Finest Auto Detailing. Welcome, glad you are joining me. How is it? How are you, man? I'm here in downtown Santa Barbara, burning the midnight oil, here for you and you in the nosebleed seats. And I want to talk to you today about the power of not doing anything about your thoughts when you got that stinking thinking. In fact, I wasn't going to even do this IG Live today. I was going to skip it because my mind was racing on the way over here. I'm like, I don't want to do this IG Live. My mind was screaming to me, it's too hot, you have too much to do, you got to prepare for tomorrow, people are not going to show up. All these negative thoughts were just racing through my mind. But I'm here for all of you, and I just set up my tripod in this conference room, and let those thoughts just be with me. I just sat with those thoughts, and here I am. I'm here for all of you, and I'm glad I decided to let my stinking thinking just flow right through me. And that's the topic I want to talk to today. I don't prepare for these IG Lives, especially these pop-up IG Lives. I let just like divine insight come through. And I stay really present with myself, and then the ideas come, and then you and we discuss. I want to talk to you tonight about why you don't have to do anything about your stinking thinking. Why you don't have to, there's nothing to fix. Where you can leave your negative thinking alone. And I had this big pop, this big aha moment a couple months ago. These practices that I am introducing to myself, because I'm still a active student of this work, of this understanding, where you don't have to fix everything. You don't have to fix your thinking. You don't have to fix your process. You don't have to do anything. My partner, my beloved, started getting into this practice, this understanding. It's not even a tool. It's not a strategy. It's not a technique. Hey, Ryder Chick, welcome. How are you? It's been a long time. And it's called the Three Principles. And it was this understanding about where thought naturally flows through us, whether it's positive or negative, good or bad, happy or sad, normally every single day of our life. There's nothing we can do about our stinking thinking or our happiness or sadness. That your mind is, in your thoughts, are like a roller coaster. And when I was introduced to this understanding, my beloved, my partner, who's also a coach, a brilliant coach, a creative mind, a marketing and business coach, who maybe she'll join us a little bit later. I don't know. She got me into this, and we went to a seminar. And just like me having such resistance and being stuck in my thoughts and not wanting to do this IG Live tonight because I was worried about what I was going to say and how I was going to say it, and feeling overwhelmed. And it's hot out. It's like 85 degrees in this conference room, in this space, even with air conditioning on. I let my thoughts ride through me. And we all have the capacity to do that, even when London bridges are falling down, even when you're going through terrible times, even when you're sick, even when a loved one is sick. That ultimately our thoughts are going to ramp up or ramp down naturally, whether you're worth $10 million or you have $10 in the bank account. It's completely separate from who you are, because who you are not your thoughts. Who you are not how you currently feel in this moment, or how currently you are tackling a difficult situation in this moment. That's not who you are. And once we come to that realization that we are not our thoughts, and that's easier said than done, the better off you are. So let me get back to my story. So I was initially skeptical about this understanding. It's called the three principles. And Sidney Banks, who started this, created this understanding, had his own spiritual pop about consciousness, about how consciousness, thought, and our mind are intimately connected, but our thoughts ultimately steer us towards belief, but our thoughts aren't really real. That when we do engage in not thinking so much about things, especially when we're in the zone. If you watch a professional athlete win, just like most recently Nadal just won the U.S. Open. He was in the zone. He wasn't thinking. His thoughts were completely quiet. We get our best insight. We get our best inner wisdom. We get our best understanding of what to do next and how to handle a difficult situation when we are not thinking. Because insight and wisdom, inner wisdom, doesn't come from the outside world. Doesn't come from our partner. Doesn't come from our job. Doesn't come from our family. Doesn't come from whatever it is. Whether you are poor, whether you are broke, whether you are a millionaire, whether you are educated, whether you are homeless, doesn't matter. That if you are looking to move forward with your life, if you are looking to make something of yourself or find solutions to those obstacles in your life, you will not find that through thought. You will not find that through being stuck in your thoughts. You will not find that through intellectual understanding of whatever. You will find that through being still. Thank you, Writer Chick. And you will find that through being quiet, and you don't have to do anything about that. Whether a psychologist diagnosed you with OCD, ADD, depression, it doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong. Our thoughts flow through us. They ramp up, they ramp down, like a roller coaster. Sometimes we're at the top of the track going down, and as we're going down, our thoughts are starting to bother us like a mosquito bite, and we start get wrapped up in our negative thoughts, and there goes the ball game. So getting back to my story. So I was introduced to this understanding, which is the three principles, by my beloved, my partner, who was also a coach. And I was very skeptical. I said, this was my thoughts, just talking for me being wrapped up in my ego, questioning my thoughts, questioning these three principles, this understanding of how to view my own behavior as a human being. And I went to a couple seminars, and I still was skeptical, and that was just my ego fighting it, ego trying to understand it, ego trying to pick it apart and make sense of it, because it was so foreign to me that to not try to fix my thoughts, try to fix my attitude, try to fix my thinking, that my thoughts will self-regulate anyways. We all have the ability and awareness to self-regulate our thoughts without doing anything, just by being still. You don't need to start a meditative practice. You don't need to And you don't need to do anything. You don't even need to turn the lights off, hey, Reddit check. You don't need to anything. So getting back to the three principles, which is really changed my life in a way that my ability to coach others and my ability to attract clients, my ability to really create the next step in my career is profound. And I'm not trying to sell you any of this. In fact, you don't have to believe anything I'm saying to you right now. So then I started reading, and I came upon this brilliant coach, a gentleman who coached athletes, a performance coach who used the three principles and mind, consciousness, and awareness of our thinking, and understanding that our thinking doesn't lead us anywhere. that our thinking is just a byproduct of a mind that doesn't know how to connect our thinking to our awareness and our inner being, which is our consciousness and our just being alive. A gentleman named Garrett Kramer, who really changed my life. He wrote a book called, I'm reading a book called The Path of No Resistance. He wrote a book called Still Power that really talks about our inner intelligence and our inner awareness of how to get quiet without doing anything. So, integrating this understanding and this work into my own practice, my own client practice, into my life, I started thinking about how I was going to integrate this into my work. And I realized that everything that I was taught in the coaching world, everything I was taught in the academic world, were strategies, tools to fix what was going wrong when there was nothing going wrong. There is nothing that needs to be fixed. We can allow our thoughts just to be present with us, because our thoughts will be there, but our mind will autocorrect and self-regulate anyways. And a good example, and Garrett talks about this in his book, and I think it was in Still Power, and also in some of his videos, Garrett talks about road rage and people that, and when someone cuts you off on the highway, where it's okay to be angry. It's okay for you to get angry if someone cuts you off on the highway. But what happens is your thoughts ramp up, you get anxious, you get angry, but then you just keep driving along on the highway, you get off on your exit and you get to work or you go to wherever you're going, and an hour later you forget about what happened. Maybe you'll tell one person, maybe you'll tell your spouse that you got cut off, but you'll forget about it. And that's your thoughts just self-regulating and coming back to normal. And I did that today with coming on this program tonight for all of you. That I was really resisting going on this IG Live tonight, and here I am. And I forgot all about why I was resisting wanting to go online. I was anxious. I was not feeling great. It's hot out. I have a lot to do, but I'm here for you anyway. So, and I can, the thoughts pass through me. It's, our thoughts are just like a roller coaster ride. Where even when everything's going right in your life, you're going to have low mood when you're coming down that roller coaster ride, you're coming down, and as you get back up again, those thoughts pass through you, and there you are. You're back to well-being. Because our default state, not our thoughts, but our default state, our inner wisdom, our inner being, our inner consciousness is well-being and love. You can blame your bad mood, your overreaching thoughts, being stuck in your head, being scared and fearful on an external variable, like because you can't pay your rent, or you can't figure out how to fix your relationship, or you can't do anything. Oh, thank you, Rita Chick. I appreciate that. That's very sweet of you. You can blame all your all the problems of your life on the outside world. All the things going wrong for you, but you're stuck in your own thoughts. You're all ramped up and nowhere to go. But having the awareness of just sitting with those thoughts and realizing that, you're going to self-correct. Your mind's going to self-correct and come back down to baseline. I tried this. I have a lot of in the past and till this day, I still have a lot of anxiety driving on the freeway, especially in LA on the 405. I get really anxious and feel like I'm going to lose control, and all these crazy thoughts going on in my head that really, thoughts don't exist. I never saw a thought running around my house, or I'm sure you haven't either. And there are moments driving that I almost feel like I'm going to have a panic attack. And I sit with it. I mean, my hands are getting white. I'm white knuckling my steering wheel, and I'm starting to sweat. I really feel like I'm going to have a panic attack, and I just sit with it. And in small increments, I'll sit with it on the freeway. I'm getting really anxious. I'm going the speed limit. I have 10 and 2 on the wheel, and I get off at the exit. That's been I get off I drive until I'm really anxious, and then I'll get off the exit and get back on again. And that's been my coping mechanism, just getting on and off the freeway like that. But I've been sitting still with it, and just letting the thoughts be there. Not having to try to fix anything with any kind of special mantra or, thought stopping technique. And just let it flow through me, and eventually my mind will autocorrect, and I will come back down and get back down to well-being again. And that's what I'm talking about. And consciousness and awareness of our own ability, our mind's own ability to naturally self-correct and back to well-being again is what I'm talking about. In the upcoming weeks, I'm going to talk more about this work and how you can use it in your own life. It's so great to be here, and I'm so glad that I didn't just cancel this IG Live, because that would have been a shame, and just let my thoughts pass through me. There was one more example that I wanted to... There was one more example. So, a couple years ago, when my ex-wife and I, we separated, and I remember the first week alone in my house, without her, just alone, without anybody, and I was just sitting in my bed looking at the ceiling, and I could feel the fear and the anxiety, feeling abandoned, feeling alone, feeling let down, feeling... You pick a negative descriptor to what it's like to go through a breakup and a divorce, and I felt like the walls are closing in on me, and I felt really ashamed. I felt it's like what happened? And my mind is just my mind is completely in the lowest mood possible. I'm cycling through a whole set of negative thoughts, and I'm swimming in it, And I didn't realize the inner resilience within me that we all have, is that I sat in my bed with my thoughts. I sat in my bed with all these horrible thoughts. And just like that think of your thoughts. If your thought was an animated object on sitting on a roller coaster car, going up and then down and then climbing up to the top of the roller coaster and then shooting down, those thoughts when you're going down, those are the thoughts that I was feeling. I was really racing down towards the end. I was just holding on like for dear life. It felt so horrible to be in that situation. But as I'm going down, it's like going down on a roller coaster ride. But eventually, I got back up again by doing really very little. My mind self-corrected, and I got up in the morning and went about my day. We all have the ability to do that. That when we are faced with external variables that are perceived to be really stressful, we all have the ability to allow our mind to self-correct, And I was listening to a woman speak, and she was talking about the process in her head. A very successful woman at a speaking engagement talk about when her husband was let go from his job, and she was talking about how she went to a state of panic and her thoughts were racing. But then she stopped herself and she sat with these thoughts, and then in her mind's eye, she was having this multiple choice kind of test of what to do next. A, we're going to be okay, we'll figure it out, things are going to be okay. B, we might have to sell the house and cut our expenses. C, declare bankruptcy. Or D, the world open, the floor is going to open up and swallow us whole. Obviously, what she was doing is realizing that those negative thoughts were just going to cycle through her, and that she was going to come back down to well-being, where she would be able to find solutions, and her husband would find solutions to their financial problems because of a job loss. And they ended up finding solutions, and he started his own company, and everything was okay after that. And now they're more successful than ever. And realizing that our thoughts are just, they're kind of like, like in a cartoon, if you like cartoons, it's just, they don't exist. They're like this imaginary bubble with words in them. They feel real because we connect our thoughts. Our mind tries to make all these connections, thoughts to feelings, and then our ego, which is trying to find a quick fix, and we get overwhelmed. At the end of the day, if you allow your mind to self-modulate itself, and you don't believe these thoughts, and realize that whatever someone thinks of me, my boss, my partner, my best friend, my family, however people think about you, that they like you, they don't like you, or indifferent, or someone says something to you that's hurtful or is perceived to be hurtful, you don't have to respond. Because I guarantee you, in a couple hours, in a week, maybe a couple months, they will completely forget what they said to you. Their mind will self-regulate, just like your mind will self-regulate. Hey, Sophie, welcome. Your mind will self-regulate. And that's why I say to my client, I said, sit still. Hold on to the roller coaster car, because your thoughts are going to self-regulate. If your boss says something to you that's perceived to be hurtful, maybe they're being, I don't know, sexist or whatever, if you take a step back and say, you know what, they're caught up in their thoughts, and I'm caught up in my thoughts, it's not a good time to engage in any kind of cognitive reverie. It's kind of like when we were kids, right? You wouldn't talk to your dad when he was in a bad mood if you wanted something from him, or your mom when we were little kids. You wouldn't confront your parents and talk to them about your bad report card when they were in a low mood, when they were wrapped around their negative thoughts, when they were speeding down on that roller coaster ride of negative thoughts. No, you'd wait till they come back up and they're back in well-being. Well, the same thing you can do with your own life. And it just frees up a lot of headspace. And what ends up happening is when you become more aware of low mood, and you can really introduce your partner to this, or your loved one to this. So instead of reacting when you're in a bad mood, to say, oh, there goes my glitchy mind again. Honey, I'm just caught up in my head. I'm in kind of in a bad mood right now. I'll get back to, I'll be okay. Just give me some time to calm down. That's all you have to say to your partner. But in a work situation, it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's having the awareness to just allow your coworkers to say what they're going to say, and your boss to say what he or she's going to say, and not take it at all personally. And if you get triggered by it, and it triggers low mood, or you're feeling overwhelmed because of whatever demands your boss are placing on in your job description, whatever it is, and you are in a really low mood, take a step back. Just sit with those thoughts, because you can't make any informed decisions about the next step in your career, the next step in your job when you're in a low mood. It's impossible. But having that awareness is the first step. And that's where the three principles and this understanding that I'm so blessed to have come across and be a part of, and learning from some amazing teachers like Garrett Kramer and Sydney Banks, and my beloved who introduced me to this understanding, and the community here in Southern California. I'm just blessed and I'm so grateful. And it's really opened up kind of the doors regarding the next steps in my career. Ego is not real. Fear of feeling ego is real. I like that. Oh, my pleasure. So the next time you get wrapped up in your negative thoughts, regardless of what's going on around you, your external world has nothing to do with it. Regardless if you ran out of gas and you're on the side of the freeway and you're so freaking angry and overwhelmed that you feel paralyzed. Or someone says something to you that was you perceived or to be not nice, or someone is not nice to you, or someone does something that's insulting, or someone's doing something that's not out of character. Let yourself self-regulate. Let your mind self-regulate. And then when it comes to fear and trying new things in your day-to-day life, or speaking in front of people, and you are so scared that you just want to run away or you don't want to do it, just sit with those thoughts. You're not going to die. You're not going to die. And just show up, just like I did tonight. Hope this has been helpful. It's an honor to be here for all of you. Hope everyone is well. Have a good week, a good healthy week, and don't give up. Take care, everybody.